Good evening, and welcome to this regular meeting of the Helotes City Council. It is December 8th, 2016, and we're underway at 7 p.m. I'd like to welcome all of you here, braving this cold winter blast that we're having. It's something we look forward to, a little cold weather, and the first one that hits us, I'm already looking for the first heat wave of the year. But anyway, before we get started, I would like to recognize some scouts that we have here from that's Cub Scout Pack 903, and they meet at Beard Elementary, and they're here working on building a better world, and they came to our council meeting, so welcome you guys. I was telling your scoutmaster after the meeting, if you have any questions, feel free to come up front here, and we'll the council members and I will also join in and answer any questions. Do we have any other scouts? Anybody? Okay. We'll start our agenda tonight with our invocation, and tonight Council Member Fredericks will handle the invocation, and then we'll do the pledges to the American and Texas flags. So if you will please stand for the invocation and pledges.
As we gather tonight, Lord, may you bless this community and all who live here. May you watch over and protect those who serve our city. May you bless all the leaders of our country. May they seek your guidance and direction in the decisions that they make. As the Christmas season approaches, let us be mindful of the celebration of the birth of your Son, Jesus Christ, and the importance in the world. May this season bring us all joy and peace in our lives. Continue, we pray, to instill in us your profound sense of abiding presence, and help us to take heart of the wonder of your love, that we may walk in your ways and delight in your will. We say a little prayer tonight for Detective Marconi of the San Antonio Police Department, who was laid to rest last week, and his family. May you lighten the burden of their grief and sadness. We also pray for a speedy recovery for our colleague, Councilman Ed Villanueva. May he return to his duties and work soon. Godspeed. We pray in your holy name. Amen.
Amen. Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible. Also, I would like to ask if any of you have a cell phone or other electronic communication device, if you would please turn it to off, silent, or vibrate to help us out during the meeting. That would be great. We appreciate it. Next up, we have some recognition, and this is tonight we have recognition from the City of Helotes Police Department, their participation in the No Shave November, which is a fundraising effort that they do every year. And this year, the nonprofit that's going to get the benefit of the funds they raise is the Helotes Humane Society. And we have Captain Burgess, Tony Burgess, come on up. Eric, you coming up too, or you just, come on. You look like you fell behind in the no shave.
I started a month late.
Oh, did you? Okay. Well, Captain, it's yours. Please explain a little bit about what you did and what you got.
Okay, we started this last year. It's a little twist on the No Shave November. A friend of mine in Granbury does it. Everyone wants to grow a beard in November. Well, they don't get to do it for free. I charge them. It costs them $50 in November, $50 in December, and we get some donations here and there from businesses and neighbors. And what we do is I want to give it back to some nonprofits and some charities in the city. Last year we gave the Lions Club some money. This year we decided Helotes Humane Society was going to be the recipient. Next year it'll be someone else. I'm not sure, is there someone here from the Humane Society? There you go. Come on up. What we did is Right now, from the officers' contribution, there's about $850 in there. Some of them are behind the eight ball. They owe me a couple $100 more. I'll get that to you next week. And we've got some donations for 125 from some couple businesses and neighbors. So I know you can use that, medication, food, basic care for the animals.
Right.
So
So on behalf of the Humane Society, thank you so much.
you're very welcome.
Tony, let Marcia get a little better picture of you guys. Eric, get on in there. And we'll get this on our website.
Thank you.
And if we could get her name, so we can put that on the website also with you guys.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
You betcha, thank you. This is just one way the police department chips in and helps the community, and they do a great job for us year-round, and it's great that they have the program now as an annual event. Okay, next up on our agenda, we have a public hearing. And this public hearing will open at 7:06. And it is a public hearing to give all interested persons the right to appear and be heard on a request from MI Homes of San Antonio LLC to amend a planned residential unit development zoning district, otherwise known as a PRUD, P-R-U-D, agreement to allow a smaller side yard setback than the current PRUD agreement allows for property located at 10551 and 10555 Far Reaches Lane, real property more particularly described as Bear County Appraisal District. Property ID numbers 1227064 and 1227065, respectfully. Grace, do we have anyone sign up to speak? No one signed up to speak on this agenda item, so we're going to close the public hearing at 7:07. That brings us up next to our open session, which is our citizens to be heard. Do we have anybody sign up, Grace?
No, sir.
Nobody signed up for that, so we will go into our unfinished business item, which is item number 5 on our agenda. This is discussion of an action on an ordinance amending Municipal Code of Ordinances, Chapter 98 zoning, Article 6, planned residential unit development, and this is pertaining to what I just read you from the public hearing. This is unfinished business since it came from last month through a postponement, so I would ask council if we can have a motion and a second to open this item for discussion and action.
Mr. Mayor, I move that we discuss and take action on item number 5 as written.
We have a motion from Massey. Do we have a second? Second. A second from Buys. Cynthia, it's your motion. You're up.
So I gather that the Planning and Zoning Commission agreed to this?
Yes.
And is this new ordinance, is this the one? Yes.
You should have the planning and zoning's minutes there somewhere.
Yes, I saw that, but I'm looking at the ordinance on number 5. Is
Yes.
that this?
Yes.
Okay. Was there any change from the one that was in the book, is what I'm saying? Because I saw that, I was looking through it this, was there
No.
any, no, it's the same one?
Yeah. it
Was there any change?
I didn't find any difference.
Number 2 under commercial.
Are you talking about from the prior meeting?
I'm talking about what's in what was in our packet,
There were some grammatical changes. Can you address this?
just grammatical.
No, the addition, like number 2, commercial, whoever mentioned it, that what P and Z asked you to add.
No. Let me rephrase the question. Are you asking what was originally included in your packet? You received a secondary ordinance. Those changes were, the mayor caught some grammatical issues and rephrased, but did not change essentially the meaning of anything.
That's all, I was just trying to see what the difference were.
Okay.
I'm glad that they approved it, and I'm fine with it.
Okay. Bert?
Yes, I agree with Councilmember Massey. The only question that I had was, the P and Z said something about the addition of, they wanted to be, it could be best be safeguarded through the addition of the design standards requirement. Is that the thing under commercial, under commercial?
Yes, sir.
Is that what was added there?
Yes.
Okay, and then also, anything that, everything still has to go through P and Z.
And council.
And council, is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so, I mean, okay, let's say P and Z rejects one of these, okay? And it comes to us, we can accept it, right?
Yes.
Planning and zoning is
Just like the way, okay. Because I was just wondering why we couldn't just go ahead and do this. We had to wait for them to make a decision. It was just, it's a procedural deal,
The
right?
procedural zoning matter, P and Z has to hear all zoning matters and make a recommendation to council before council can take action.
Okay, all right. That's all I had, Mayor.
Okay. Alex?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Yes, I think that planning and zoning over the last 3 months has done a great deal of thought process for it. There was initially some reluctance on a number of the members of planning and zoning to allow the possibility of this expanding to both commercial and really not so much the commercial as much as it was the possibility of mixed use. However, any expressed or implied objections were erased when the addition of the design standards was imposed upon that. And while our city administrator, I think, explained it very well that they would have had to comply to begin with regard to those design standards, linking that in the ordinance, I think, satisfied the members of planning and zoning, and that any development that would go through in any property, whether it's initial development or redevelopment, would have to comply with those standards, and those standards would then be the governing set of rules that would apply to both P and Z and council when approving it. So we would be referring back to those and say, you know, because sometimes we get caught up with the, it's allowed, therefore we don't have a reason to say no, but the design standards would give you the reason if something is glaringly out of our intent for the particular area of the city that this goes in. I'm in concurrence.
Paul?
No, that was curious why they added that, that into that, under the commercial, but Councilman Blue explained that, so that was the only question I had.
Okay. Anything else, Cynthia? Bert, any follow-up?
No, sir.
Anything else? Okay, no further discussion being asked for or required. We will take action on item number 5. So a yes vote here would be to approve the item as it's written. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say no. Motion carries. Next up, we have our consent agenda. And for those of you who have not come to a meeting like this, I'll explain a little bit about what a consent agenda is. And typically, it's just to expedite business that's being done by the council. And a consent agenda is generally made up of multiple items on the agenda. There are items that are considered to be fairly routine and not requiring a whole lot of discussion. It's just typical business that's done on a monthly basis generally. And it's determined to be routine by me and staff. And generally, they're all handled in one motion in 1 second. Tonight, we have agenda items 6 through 11, making up the consent agenda. If there's a question that a council member would like to ask on a specific item, or 2 or 3, or however many they want, and they can be answered fairly briefly, we'll address those questions. Another option they have is to pull an item for full discussion later in the agenda. So I would now ask council, are there any questions or any requests to pull an item?
I have a question.
Okay?
That's on item number 9. It's just a quick thing. The mayor and I went to a meeting with TxDOT about this project, and I was under the impression that where the actual work is going to be done, they're going to have to put a little zigzag in the road there to build that bridge. And they were saying that they were, I'm almost positive it was 30 miles an hour, or maybe it was 35 miles an hour, and it just says 40 here. Have we contacted them about that, or are we just going to
No, I left a message for Jonathan Bean expressing that specifically, whether it was 30, 35, or the 40, and asked him to let us know before 7 tonight if there was a problem with the 40, and I didn't hear from him, so I'm assuming that since they sent us this request specifically, that's what they're asking for. If they change it later, we can always
We
just...
have to do another ordinance.
Sure.
Okay, that's all I had.
Anything else? Anything? Okay, then I would ask for a motion and a second to approve consent agenda items 6 through 11.
Mr. Mayor, I move that we approve consent agenda items 6 through 11.
We have a motion from Fredericks. Do we have a second?
I'll second it.
A second from Blue. No discussion being requested, no further questions, no request to pull, then we will vote on this. Consent agenda items 6 through 11, all in favor of approval, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say no. Motion carries. Consent agenda items 6 through 11 are approved. Takes us to number 12, which is discussion and action on an ordinance, amending ordinance number 522, a planned residential unit development overlay zoning district agreement between MI Homes and San Antonio LLC and the city of Helotes. And this is what our public hearing pertained to. So again, a motion and a second would be in order.
Mayor, I make a motion, we discuss, take action on item 12.
We have a motion from Byes. Do we have a second?
I'll second that.
Second from Massey. Okay, Bert, you're up.
Okay, in my mind, I'd like to put this item to bed and go ahead and vote for this. The only thing I want to say is that hopefully we have some safeguards in place, not only with, with builders like this, but also with our staff, that, we don't let this fall through the cracks. I'm just glad that there was only just 2 houses that were affected. We're going to have a lot of residential building in our ETJ with a lot of want to be annexed. And so we need to really have safeguards in place that this doesn't happen again. That's all I have.
Cynthia?
I'm in agreement. I'm glad that, I like to defer to planning and zoning. Most of the time I do, and I very rarely do I not go against their recommendation. And I like the stern wording that they put in their little report to them that please don't do this again. And if they still have other houses to build, they better follow the rules and regulations, because we won't be so nice and let it pass. So I'm ready to vote for giving them this, I guess, variance.
Okay, Paul?
I'm a little irritated that they've come to Board of Adjustment several times, been turned down a couple times, and then back to planning and zoning, and still this issue just keeps coming back up. They've been told at least twice from Board of Adjustment that they needed to comply with the requirements. I sit on Board of Adjustment. We tried, but the consensus was that we did not, and the citizens did not want this to happen. As you know, in city council meetings, a lot of times we play to an empty house. Well, Board of Adjustment plays always to an empty house. And the last time this came up, we had a handful of people at a Board of Adjustment meeting, which never happens. And there was a lot of frustration with this issue. So a lot of citizens are aware of this issue and are pretty frustrated with it, and I'm getting frustrated with this issue. Again, I'd like to put it to bed, but I don't think I can support this, especially when it's come to Board of Adjustment twice and been denied twice.
Okay. Alex?
Well, I agree with the sentiments of all. This has been a very frustrating process. It's also not been a short process. And I guess the question really is the remedy. And that's where I get stuck. If this were simply a moving of a fence or taking out of a piece of a sidewalk or something, that'd be different than essentially destroying a house. And so I'm of the opinion that where we have to go with this is to move on. I know at the Planning and Zoning Commission, the city administrator expressed very strong belief that the staff has put in place things to prevent this from happening in the future. Not only from inspection process, but from staff training, and I can assure you with the difficulty that this has been, there's still some sore feelings, I guess, that are going to prevent it. Everything is going to have to be very carefully looked at moving forward, not just here, but in other avenues. And I believe that those steps will prevent this from happening again. Just needs to be very diligent in making sure that it doesn't get lost in the rearview mirror as we move forward. But I don't know that the tearing down of a constructed house is the right remedy at this point, despite the frustration of what got us here. So that's my opinion. Thank you.
Okay, keep in mind, just to toss in another thought, at the last Board of Adjustments meeting, the developer did ask what remedies were available to them, and the city attorney told them that this was one of the options, was to ask for rezoning on these two properties. And it's self-contained within that subdivision. It affects nothing else other than these two lots. And so this was the suggestion that was given to them as a road or a path to follow, and they followed it. And so here it is for you guys to make a decision on. And so it really isn't a direct rebuke to the Board of Adjustments, although some might interpret it that way. The only thing is that I would recommend that we amend this to read on the ordinance under Section 2, where if you approve this item, we have Exhibit A being attached, which is a description of the, or it's the agreement of the amendment, but I would like to add an Exhibit B, which would be the site plan for both lots, just for future reference. If anyone is looking at this, they'll have a picture to look at too. So I would like to have the ordinance changed to say properties described in Exhibit A and shown in plot plans in Exhibit B. In other words, we would just be adding the two plot plans to the ordinance for clarity for anyone that's looking at it, and they'll have that as well as the verbal description of what's going on. So if that's acceptable to you, Bert, then we could,
Is it plot or plat?
this would be a plot plan.
Plot plan. Yeah, that's acceptable.
So we're just gonna label this page Exhibit B and add that wording in there, otherwise everything will stay the same. Okay, any follow-up to Paul's or Alex's discussion?
Nope.
Cynthia, anything from you?
No, the only thing is, it was my understanding that they wouldn't have to tear down the whole house. It would have just been the third, there was a three-car garage. They would have to tear down one of the car garage.
Yeah, it would have been major, because that's a post-tension slab, and it would have
So it
almost,
would've-
it
it
would
would've
have
affected-
amounted to that, because you're destroying that structural integrity.
Cables that go through,
Okay.
right?
Huh?
It's cables that go through,
Cables,
and if you take those cables out, all the integrity's gone.
Paul, any follow-up?
Bless you.
Gesundheit.
Thank you.
Alex, anything else?
Actually, Mr. Mayor, yes, I had one other question, and maybe this is for our city administrator. The way this is worded, does it apply towards any structures on the property or just the main residence? Could the future potential owners of these properties put a storage building 5 feet from the setback in the future? And is that something we want to protect by modifying this to say that the only thing we're allowing is the main structure, but not associated buildings on the property? I'd like to know if that would be acceptable to alter that to make sure that the only thing we're trying to allow is the main building because it's constructed, but not future structures that could be put in there as well. I don't know if that's even an easy mechanism to do that, or if it'd been thought of, or what the opinion of the council is on that. I'm just saying, I just thought about that as we go through, and you said add the plot plan to it. What about other structures that may come down the road? like swimming pools and things? Because I know that we have side setback lot rules for not just the main house.
Aren't the side setbacks all 5 feet in most?
It is showing, just looking at it, you have a 10-foot building setback on each side and a 20-foot building setback. So they have that shown on the plot plan. So I think that probably pretty well covers it. And keep in mind that this variance and this new agreement pertains only to this one single property line between these two houses. It doesn't pertain to any other property line out there.
No, I get that. But if a future owner wanted to put up another building on there that would be maybe such as a storage building.
I understand.
Could they put that then 5 feet from the side setback, or is this not?
It just pertains to this particular issue. The regular setbacks as shown on the plot plan, to me, is sufficient. But if you guys want to word it that way, we can certainly word it. I don't know that it's necessary.
I don't think it's necessary, Councilman, at this point, because remember, these two lots have to be platted anyway.
Yeah.
They were not included in the original plat, so council and the commission can make sure that that is
When that plat
identified
comes to
Okay.
us.
on the plat when it goes through the process.
Okay, thank you.
Anything else from anybody? Okay, no further discussion. We'll call the question. All in favor of approving the agreement and the variance, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say no.
No.
We have 3 ayes and 1 no. Councilmember Fredericks on the no. Okay, next up on our agenda is discussion of and action on the release of final payment to Terra Designs for the linear park plans. So we would look at a motion and a second on item 13, please.
Mayor, I make a motion to discuss, take action on 13.
We have a motion from Buys. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second from Fredericks. Okay, Bert, it's your motion. You're up.
Well, this is the final payment on this linear park deal to them, right?
Yes.
And actually, it's probably, in my mind, still too much, but in order to recoup any of the money that they say that we owe them, we probably have to take them to, go to litigation. Is that correct?
Correct.
So I'd say, I'd, just like with the other one, I'd say put it to bed. I'm for it.
Paul?
The only question I have, is there any just major deficiencies that we're still looking at from this group?
Not major. There are still some things that I
Your markups?
have issues.
Or your markups?
Yeah. Those were my original markups in his responses. I haven't looked at everything that Rick said that he printed out that was on the thumb drive, like item number 7 in their letter, the subsurface exploration and foundation analysis report. I don't know that we have it, but I don't know at this point that we really need it. Some things like that. We didn't ever get a 24 by 36 inch set of plans, but we go digital with everything now, so that's a minor issue too. There were a few other things that he said that I didn't agree with, but nothing major and nothing that I think that we could justifiably hold payment.
Thank you.
Cynthia?
Yeah, no, I think that we should just pay them.
I agree.
Okay. Okay, any further, any
No, sir.
follow-up? Okay. Then we will call the question on item 13. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say no. We appreciate it, and staff and I will take care of making sure that that is done, but the EDC still needs to address it, and they'll do that in their next meeting. Okay. The way I see it, that's our agenda for the night. And just for informational purposes, we will not have a second meeting since it's Christmas week. So this is it for the year. I would like to wish not only council and the staff members that are here, but all of you folks, a very Merry Christmas and Happy New Year, and be safe out there, and be careful going home tonight. We're adjourned, and the time is 7:29.